So when we got back from a 4-day trip and we opened the door, the house just reeked of dog pee and dog poop. In this video, I'm going to share the 2 times that Rover.com house sitting has gone bad for us. And I'm also going to share why I will not leave a bad review. Rover.com seems like a wonderful way to find a trusted professional dog sitter, and we've had a couple of good experiences and a couple of really not good experiences, and one just ended yesterday and it was really not good. So I'm going to tell you about the bad experiences so you can determine whether this is the right way for you to find someone that you can trust to care for your animals. Now, if you want to hear about positive experiences with Rover, go over to their website. There's lots of positive reviews. It's really easy to leave a positive review, and later on I'll tell you why it's not so easy to leave a negative one. So in this video, I'm going to cover 3 incidents. One I call the absentee house sitter. The second is the naked hot tub party, and the third is the raccoon incident. And one of these was actually a positive experience. Our menagerie right now is our golden retriever. We have 2 cats, and now we have a foster dog living with us, but we had to head out of town, so we needed someone that could take care of our house and our 4 animals, 2 of which need medication. So I went on Rover. I found a number of people that looked like good matches, but they weren't available. So the people with a lot of good reviews, their calendars weren't necessarily updated. So I had to work with someone this time that did not have any reviews, and I was a little nervous about this, but we were running low on time, and we needed to leave town, and we needed someone that we could explain how to give the cat medicine and all that kind of stuff. So we were kind of in a bind. So I found on Rover someone who could give the cats medicine, had experience with medicine, supposedly had 10 years of experience, and did not have a dog listed in their profile. I prefer to have people who don't have dogs as house sitters, because then they're not neglecting their dog when they're here, and they're not tempted to go home to their dog. So she hadn't listed a dog in her profile. The day that we were supposed to leave, about 2 hours before we left for the airport, we got a series of text messages just coming in one after another saying that she wasn't going to be able to house sit for us because she was having a domestic abuse problem with her boyfriend and had to move out. And then a message saying that, you know, she had to take care of her dog, so she couldn't take care of ours. And then she was going to leave her dog in her truck for the 4 days while she was at our house, and then she had found someone to dog sit for her so she'd be able to take care of our house. So those were all red flags, but we sent her some messages saying, let's get some additional rules here. Your boyfriend is not allowed to know where our home is, and this was going to be good for both of us, and your dog is not allowed in our house. And we also requested pictures and videos to make sure things were going well, and we alerted our neighbors to just be watching out for anything that might be happening at our home. So we started getting messages from our neighbors that, you know, there was kind of a creepy guy hanging out front, and he kept riding by on his bicycle and looking at the house. They told us that they heard what sounded like an argument coming from inside the house with definitely a guy's voice, and we kept texting her, and she always had some kind of explanation for, you know, what was going on, and she would send pictures of the pets, and it seemed like, you know, it was hard to tell what was going on. And she did admit that, you know, she had someone who stopped by outside, and that was the kind of creepy looking guy. So we figured she's not lying about the things we definitely know about. At one point she texted us asking if we could advance her some money. Let's go and skip forward to what we found when we got home. When we opened the door, the stench of dog pee and dog poo was just overwhelming. And our dogs don't have accidents in the house. So we had told her that we wanted her there the majority of the time. She was supposed to be sleeping there. The dogs should be getting a lot of attention. We paid, I think, you know, over $300 for a long weekend, and thought this, you know, our expectations were pretty clear. So the dogs were super excited to see us, and, you know, once we got them calmed down, we walked through the house, try to figure out where the smell is coming from. So we have hardwood floors. Our house is 113 years old. We have beautiful hardwood floors with rugs on them, and I peeled back one of the rugs and I started to see wet spots that the dogs had peed on the rug. And the more I peeled back the rug, the more wet spots I saw. So it was pretty clear that the dogs did not have access to the outside the way they should have. And so we quickly rolled up the rug, started treating the floor, took the rug outside to wash it, And that's when I noticed that there was dog poop in the rug too, that obviously had been cleaned up. So clearly if the dogs were pooping on the rug, they really weren't getting much attention at all. Because, I mean, I just felt really bad for our dogs that they'd gotten that stressed with not having any access to the outside. I looked inside the garbage can and there was just paper towel rolls filled with pee and poop where she had cleaned up the house. So she had seen this happening, but still did not change her behavior to pay more attention and to be here more often. And the house was pretty well torn up just because two dogs that are getting absolutely no attention just tore up everything. So then let's go to how Rover reacted when we called them. When we first heard from our neighbors that something might be going on, I went to the Rover website and I could not find a phone number. So if you're searching for a phone number, there will be one down below because they sent me one after I sent them an emergency message. That was one of the drop-down items when sending them a message, is to send an emergency message. The emergency message went unanswered for over 12 hours. So the customer support email from Rover shows that they are available 24/7, but we emailed our emergency message 9 p.m. on Friday and finally got something back around 2 p.m. on Saturday saying, give us a call. But by that time, we had talked ourselves into thinking that things were okay. We had talked with the pet sitter and she'd given us a good line of, you know, things are going okay. Here's some more pictures of the animals. Maybe she took all these pictures at one time. It's hard to say what was going on. But when we got home, we did call that phone number, trying to catch them before they paid out to our pet sitter. Their customer support people were very kind and listening, and I said, okay, so, you know, what do we do? How do we get reimbursed for our ruined hardwood floors and carpets? And they said, okay, well, actually that stuff's not covered by the insurance that they provide. So be sure to look into the insurance. It is not nearly what they make it out to be. On the phone, they tried to tell us that the only thing that was covered was personal injury to your pet or to the house sitter. Their website clearly states that more than that is covered, but it also doesn't say anything about damage that your pets may do if they are completely neglected, being left inside by someone that's getting paid $300 to watch after them. They also wanted us to contact the pet sitter to ask for our money back, which we said, no, that is not our responsibility. You need to give us our money back. So we'll see if that happens. Let's talk about why we weren't willing to leave a bad review or talk to the pet sitter. So she's got an abusive boyfriend. She knows the inside of our house. We were able to delete the code from our door that we let her use to get in and out. You know, she knows our patterns. She knows our pets. We weren't willing, and I'm sure a lot of people are not willing, to expose themselves to retaliation by a pet sitter for leaving a bad review, which impacts their ability to make money. So we just wanted this to go away so that we were not at risk of being retaliated against. Now, my wife is an attorney, so she got on the phone with Rover and was able to get a little further than me. Still, Rover gets an F for providing customer support when something goes wrong with one of their contractors, they call them, that they're independent contractors. I've looked online, there's lawsuits, there's reviews of people whose pets have died in the care of their Rover house sitter. They say that they do some kind of background check with their house sitters, and they maybe do some kind of testing, but clearly they don't take responsibility when something goes wrong. So clearly they don't trust their own systems for vetting their sitters. So going back in time, the second incident that I mentioned is the naked hot tub incident. We had some cameras in our house at this time, and we had told the sitters that we had cameras. And when we got home from being away for a long weekend, we heard from neighbors. They said, you know, did you Airbnb out your house this weekend? Because they had a really loud party, and we looked out our back window and there were a bunch of naked people in your hot tub being loud at about 3 a.m. We looked at our cameras and we found a bunch of people in our house wearing just towels, some of them naked, not the people that were supposed to be there. Our house sitter was there, but she had brought in a bunch of other people. We also saw that she'd brought in another dog at one point, that she had a little bit of a revolving door of men coming and going in the morning and in the evening. And we also had neighbors report that there was a loud argument that happened at about 5 o'clock in the morning where she was arguing with one of these gentlemen. Number 3, though, is the positive one, and that is that same house sitter that had the naked hot tub party. Also, prior to that, one time, our past golden retriever was outside and got into a little scuffle with a raccoon, and she ran out there and grabbed a cushion off our outdoor furniture and beat the raccoon off our dog. So we gave her a little bit more leeway with the infractions that she was created after she saved our dog from a raccoon attack. But if you're thinking about using Rover, like I said, probably the majority of house sitters are wonderful. We've had 2 wonderful house sitters, and we had the one who beat the raccoon off our dog. But Rover does not stand by the people that they sub out as contractors or whatever it is. They're not employees, and their insurance does not cover a lot of the bad things that can happen when those people are at your house. And that's really why I wanted to go through Rover. I thought, well, you know what? If anything happens to the house, if the house sitter steals all our stuff, if they do something and one of the dogs gets injured, that Rover is going to cover us. We're paying them a fee so that we are protected. And that was absolutely not true. Like I said, my wife's an attorney, so she might be able to work this through the system and get us reimbursed for the damaged floors and carpet. The dogs are doing pretty well. I think, I feel really bad for them because I feel like they were so neglected and so stressed. It seems like the cats were fine because they have a cat door and they could come and go and use the outside when they needed to go to the restroom. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video because my experience with Rover was not what I expected. And it's not the image that they portray when they are on the internet. And it's not the image that they portray through their reviews, because people like me who have a bad experience don't want to get into it more with these bad people that are house sitters. So I wanted to share this story so that you can make a decision about how you want to handle your house sitting or dog walking or whatnot. I think once you find a good person to take care of them, stick with that person. Look for people who have reviews or references from people that you know, maybe neighbors. I really wish that we had gone and hired one of our neighbor kids, one of their adult children. Sometimes we'll hire the teenagers, but for a long weekend, having them live in our house, we weren't really comfortable with that. But there are some college students that we might have been able to convince for $300 to take care of our family while we were out of town. So let me know down in the comments if you've experienced something like this. And I'm sure there's another video that'll pop up right after this about other people's experience with Rover.